Good morning everybody, welcome back to the channel. Got absolutely stacks to get through today. Just look at this lot. Last week's video was about 40 minutes. I'm hoping I can get through it in about the same time today, but if it does run slightly over, I get the feeling today is going to be another two-parter. So we'll see how we go. I'll start with the usual shout outs. First one is to a new subscriber, Zoltan. Now Zoltan used to work in the warehouse where I work. He left a few years ago. He was a picker there, along with his good lady Bettina, who I always called Bet. I still call her Bet now. And I bumped into him online last night and was chatting backwards and forwards about music styles and stuff like this. And I sent him an invitation to join the Facebook group and also a link to the YouTube channel. So welcome to the channel, Zoltan. I hope you like the content. It was really good chatting with you last night. Really enjoyed that. Hi to Bet. And as I say, hope you like the channel and the Facebook group. Feel free to post anything on there that's music related. Here we go. Film related. I did also send you an invite to the music channel and the music group and also the TV group. So as I say, feel free to post anything sort of movie, TV, music related on any of those. And it was really good to bump into you last night. So welcome to the group, mate. Hope you enjoy what we're doing. Quick shout out to Old AF. I did mention these last week, the mad buggers. But he sent me a message this week. I thought it was really nice. He described my channel, or this channel, as like having a coffee and a chat with a mucker. That's Derby for you. So I thought that was really nice. I couldn't have summed it up any better myself. I mean, that is basically the sort of the look that I'm going for. And I think I've pretty much got that bit nailed. So yeah, thanks for that, Ricky, isn't it? Yeah, Ricky. Thanks for that, mate. Really appreciate that. As I say, that's exactly what I was going for and what I'm going to continue doing because people seem to like it. So yeah, I really appreciated that. So thanks for that. What else have we got here? I've got it all written down so I don't miss anything. Next one. A big thank you to Callie and Guy for inviting me onto their podcast last week. I had an absolute blast. I really enjoyed it. For those of you that haven't seen it, it's a Doctor Who related podcast. We had such a laugh doing it. We had a few connection issues, which I'm hoping won't happen today because I have been invited back on to discuss another subject that's very close to my heart, which I'm not allowed to say. I would imagine I'm not allowed to say, so I'm not going to. But they've asked me to join them on tonight's podcast, which I'll be doing. When it'll be uploaded, I don't know. But hopefully it'll look a bit better from my side of it because watching it back, oh my God, it was so juddery and I don't know what it looked like to you guys, but it didn't. I didn't look right. I think Guy was having the same issues, and it looks like it's connection problems. We do it on Zoom, and I've never used Zoom before. So hopefully that'll be put right today. Hopefully that won't happen. It is just a temporary thing. But the actual experience, I really enjoyed it. I'd never done a podcast before. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We had such a laugh, including the moment when I let slip that my mother had met John Pertwee many years ago when she used to work in Woolworths. And all she can remember of it basically is that he was extremely tall, very polite, a really nice guy. And Callie and Guy asked me if I was John Pertwee's love child, which kept us amused for quite a few minutes on that one. But yeah, we had such a laugh, and I'm looking forward to doing tonight's as well. So I will catch you guys later. Blu-ray display, James. Really glad that you like the BBFC opening card that I've got. That was designed for me by a colleague at work. He's a bit of a Photoshop genius. He also designed the curtains opening, the intro, for me. So I basically got him to thank for the channel having an identity as such, but I wanted it to have the look of a sort of a 1970s feel to it, and that is perfect. As you say, that BBFC X certificate card is so 1970s. It was exactly what I was looking for, so I was more than happy with that, and I am not planning on swapping it for anything else anytime soon. I love that. We do indeed have the same views on censorship and PC-ness. We don't believe in either of them really. And later on, I will be showing off my collection of BBFC related books, censorship related books. That's going to be book of the week a little bit later on, because she expressed an interest in seeing which books I'd actually got, so I will be showing those off a little bit later on. So yeah, it's what else have I got here? Oh, your website. I did check out your website, by the way, James. It's cracking, really, really nice, very sleek, very clean. Yeah, mine probably looks a little bit cluttered. I need to work on it and get some more content on it. I haven't done anything on there for probably a month or two. I need to get some more reviews on there. I also want to take it in a slightly different direction, maybe incorporating sort of movie news as opposed to just reviews. But if any of you have got any ideas out there of what I should actually put on the website, drop me a message. All suggestions more than welcome, as per usual. Jason, you posted something about that police academy standee. Oh God, I remember that. I remember when you used to come into the shop when I worked there. It would have been about 1987, 88. Oh my God, you were all spiky hair and teeth back then. And you used to talk to me for ages about the movies and this, that, and the other. And I usually used to send you off with posters or card standees or something like that. And I do remember you asking me for the Police Academy. I think it was Police Academy 3 or 4. I can't remember. A huge thing that stood about 3-4 foot high. It was massive. And you asked me whether you could have it. I gave it to you, and I remember watching you struggle out of the shop with it and thinking at the time, how the hell is he going to get that all the way back down to Waterside? I think that's where you lived at the time. But yes, I do remember that very well. You also put an article on about selling my Binnit items rather than just giving them away, as some of the older titles are fetching very good value nowadays. I thought about it, but to be honest, I'm not sure I can be arsed with listing them and taking them down and haggling and all this sort of thing. It is just easier for me just to give them away because I didn't pay very much for them. There was one exception to the rule many years ago. Caroline, you'll remember this, Melody. It was also known as Swalk, SWALK, Mark Lester and Jack Wilde. I picked up a copy of it from a bargain bin, a literal bargain bin in the town, and I think it cost me 50p. I watched it, liked it, but I thought I'll get rid of it, and I listed it on eBay. And would you believe it? It went for over £100. I was absolutely stunned. The guy that bought it, I thought it was a mistake at first. So obviously I emailed this guy to say that he'd won this thing, and it had gone for like about £110. It was an outrageous amount of money. And I asked him whether he'd actually meant to put that bid on, because I felt a little bit guilty taking that kind of money off him. And it turned out it was a Japanese businessman. Melody was hugely popular in Japan. It still is, but you couldn't get it for love nor money over there. And obviously this Japanese guy had latched onto my listing on eBay and outbid everybody. It looked like he just wanted to go way over the top to ensure that he got it. And sure enough, he sent me the cheque for £100. It cashed, it was fine. I sent it off to him. So that was the only instance that I've ever picked up. It was VHS back then, a VHS or a DVD, and made an obscene amount of money selling it. I can't imagine that ever happening now. I know a lot of them are fetching sort of £10-15 nowadays, but as I say, it's just that thing of going into the town into CEX or listing them on Amazon and all that. I've been through all that before, and you don't actually make a fat lot out of it. By the time they've taken their cut, it's hardly worth it. So I appreciate the tipping me the nod about the how much these things are making, but it's not really for me unless I hear of something that I've got from years ago and somebody says, oh, it's fetching hundreds, then I might think about it. But for the odd couple of quid, it's hardly worth it to me. So that's not one I'm going to be, not a road I'm going to be going down on. 50 years of film, my God, we are going great guns with this. There's about 6 of us and we are really, really going for it. Loving some of the movies that are coming out. Some of them I've not even thought about, especially Caroline's. You tend to go for like the more obscure titles like I do. Dancing in the Dark, I haven't seen that for years. I think that's mid-80s. But absolutely loving the way this thread is shaping up. It's absolutely brilliant, loving it. I am doing them ahead of time. I'll be working on this week's later on and scheduling them all. And I mentioned, it was either last week or the week before, that I was going to do a thread at some point working backwards from 1972, and I've already started work on that one. I've already started collecting images, writing the odd little write-up on a Word document, that kind of thing. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it. I'm going to get the whole thing completed, which may take a while, so it could be it's going to be at the earliest later this year, possibly into next year before I start it. But you're absolutely right, Jason, it pays to do these things in advance and basically get everything good to go before you start, because I am notorious for starting these things 3 or 4 days later I lose interest and you don't see or hear from them again. So yes, I will be doing everything in advance, getting it all ready to go, and then I will launch it. But that's what I'm planning to do. And rather in a day, rather than doing a year in a day, and only 3 titles, I will probably do a whole year and just keep posting one poster every day until I've covered them all, and then move backwards a year. Be interesting to see how many I come up against when we get back to sort of the 50s and the 40s. I've seen quite a few, but not as many as you would think I've seen. But I'm really looking forward to launching that, but it won't be until I think much later this year or early next year, by the time I've got all the images sorted and everything else. But you were absolutely right, mate. It's definitely the way to do it. So I will be proceeding with that, but it's going to be a while yet. The final thing on this is thanks to everybody for all the encouragement. I do say this every now and then. I get messages every now and then, and people talk to me at work saying the channel's great and Stanley are really enjoying it. Dave Lowe came up to me the other week and said really enjoyed the extra features that I'm putting in there, like Book of the Week and Vinyl and this, that and the other. I will be introducing a lot more stuff over the coming weeks. I have noticed, and I said this last week, that the channel is definitely growing. I've definitely noticed an increased number of views. I had one of my videos, 2 of the videos hit 50 the week before last, and I think last week's hit 46, and I'm really, really happy with that. It's growing, but it's growing nice and slowly, which is how I wanted it. I don't really want it exploding all over the place. A nice slow growth is great, and it's the same with the Facebook group. I had 2 or 3 new members join this week, so if you guys are watching it, and I can't remember your names, I think one lady was from Miami, and I think another one was from Los Angeles, so I'm obviously going stateside with this. I'm really pleased with that. So welcome to the group if either of you are watching this. But again, the Facebook group, it's brilliant. It's constantly populated with posts from all over the place. It's mainly the 6 usuals that do it, but that's great. We're just keeping it full of posts, so really happy with it. And the Instagram page is going great guns as well. I've got 1,300 followers on there. So yeah, I had my first nasty comment on there yesterday. I'll come on to that one later when I start reviewing movies. It was to do with a movie that I watched last week, and obviously somebody was not happy with my opinion, but I'll tell you about that a little bit later on. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased with the way that the channel's growing, the Facebook group is growing, the Instagram is doing really well. So yeah, and it's all thanks to you guys. As I've said before, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. You tell me that you enjoy it, I'll keep doing it. I absolutely love it, really do. So yeah, thanks to all of you for the encouragement and for basically contributing, because as I say, these groups would not exist if it wasn't for you guys putting your posts on and this, that, and the other. Because it'd be a bit boring if it was just me. But yeah, you embrace everything that comes on there. And as for this 50 years of film, well done, Jace. Bloody hell, that was a real that was a real good call. As I say, we've really all gone for that one, so we're quite pleased with that. So I think that's all the shout outs for this week. Just make sure I've not missed anybody. No, I think that's it. A little bit of movie news, kind of. I listened to my first episode of Mark Commode on Scala Radio. He does a soundtrack show every Saturday, and listened to the first episode yesterday and really, really enjoyed it. And he played a track from the soundtrack of Scarface, and he said at the end of this that Brian De Palma, apparently Scarface has become very, very popular in the rap community over the last sort of 30 years since it's been released. And he's been bombarded with requests from various angles to re-release Scarface on its 40th anniversary, which is going to be next year, I believe. 1983 it came out. But he's been asked to re-release it with a rap soundtrack. Dear God, why would you want to do it? Obviously he's completely rejected it. He's perfectly happy with the soundtrack and the score the way it is, and he said no, there is no way that is happening. And I'm so very, very pleased to hear that. My view on rap music is fairly well known. I don't like it. I never have liked it. I find most of it pretty horrible, aggressive. It's just not for me. It really isn't. It hasn't been since the first time I heard it. I've loathed it. So the thought of re-releasing any movie that had a perfectly good soundtrack and just putting rap all over it just is horrifying, especially a classic like Scarface. So well done to Brian De Palma for kissing off that suggestion. I just hope you don't change his mind. The other news is This Little Beauty, The Railway Children, is back in cinemas this week, just ahead of the sequel, or one of the sequels, which is called Return, I believe, Return of the Railway Children. This is an absolute classic. I've talked about this one before. There wasn't a summer that went by in the early 70s that this wasn't in Burton Odeon, which I believe is where I first saw it. An absolutely glorious film. And I believe the sequel is due out within the next couple of weeks. I've read a couple of advance reviews of it. Apparently it's the same in spirit, but if you're going into it expecting sort of Bernard Cribbins type station masters, bloomers on the end of sticks being waved, stopping trains, and Daddy My Daddy and all that sort of thing, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. The story is very different. Jenny Agutter is in it, playing Bobby, who is now a grandmother. I'm not sure what the story is. I need to read up on that one. But it's getting quite favourable reviews. Obviously, it's not going to have the same nostalgia hit as watching the original. I've seen the original many, many times. It is just a beautiful, gentle story from the 1970s, part of my childhood. So really enjoyed it. But looking forward to watching Return of the Railway Children. There's another actress in it, and I can't remember who it is. Is it Joanne Froggatt? Sheridan Smith is in it. So it's going to be worth watching with Sheridan Smith and Jenny Agutter as Bobby. It's got to be worth a look. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. But that's back in cinemas this week, just ahead of the release of Return of the Railway Children. So that's probably worth a look if you've never seen it on the big screen. Right, I'll do a couple of reviews. See how far we get. I'm up to 20 minutes already. First one is one of the most astonishing movies I've ever seen in my life. It was directed by Alex Garland, who was responsible for The Beach, starring Leo DiCaprio, Ex Machina, which I've not seen, but want to see because I've heard a lot of good things about it, and a movie called Annihilation, which I've also not seen. This is a difficult one. It's another one that's a difficult one to explain. It stars Jessie Buckley as a lady in an abusive relationship. Her boyfriend is just horrible, and he either jumps out of a window, or he slips on the balcony or something like that, and basically dies after threatening to kill himself. She retreats into the country to get over this, and stops at a country house run by a guy played by Rory Kinnear. Now this is where the unusual bit comes in. All of the male parts in this are played by Rory Kinnear. There's a priest, there's the guy that owns the house, there's a very, very chilling little boy. Oh my God. It's one of those sights that is really, really unsettling. I don't quite know how they've done it, but what you've got is this little boy with the head of Rory Kinnear. It's one of those things you've got to see to believe, but the minute I saw it, I thought, that is deeply unsettling. The film descends basically into folk horror type territory. It's a kind of a cross, I would say, between The Wicker Man and something like Blood on Satan's Claw. It is a very, very, very... I thought it was a really unsettling film. The last act, the final 20 minutes, it just goes full David Cronenberg. If you don't like body horror, I would seriously recommend avoiding this. I only just made it through it because I'd heard so much about this final act. I needed to see what all the fuss was about. It is a brilliantly made film. Rory Kinnear is astonishing in all these different roles, to the point where you look at them individually and you kind of forget that you're watching one man playing all these roles. I would definitely recommend it. Now, I put a post on Instagram about this, and this is where this nasty remark came in. Somebody, I assume she's some kind of a feminist, basically, and excuse the language, basically told me to stop sucking this director's dick and encouraging this misogynistic, sexist nightmare. And I read it and I thought, go away. So I was going to reply to it, but I really don't want to get into a war of words with these people. That's her opinion. It isn't mine. I thought it was a brilliant piece of filmmaking. It was a bit of a nightmare. I just thought it was superb. Really, really thoroughly enjoyed it, to the point where I would like to watch it again. Minus the little boy, that was really, really strange to see. Totally recommended. I would definitely give it a 9 out of 10, and it's made me want to check out more of Alex Garland's work, starting with possibly Ex Machina, and maybe Annihilation. I've seen The Beach many years ago and I thought that was really, really good. But yeah, if you're looking for something very, very unusual, really, really odd, and quite disturbing for the last 20 minutes, I'd recommend it. It's called Men. It's in cinemas at the moment, I think, and it's also streaming. I can't remember where I watched it, but it's certainly worth a look. The other one I watched last night, Good Luck to You, Leo Grande. This is the latest movie with Emma Thompson. She plays a 60-something lady who lost her husband 2 years previously. You have to be a little bit sexually explicit, I'm afraid, when you're talking about this. She employs a sex worker. I've never liked that term. I think I prefer escort. But she employs this young man played by Daryl McCormack, who is absolutely brilliant. Um, and she has never ever achieved an orgasm in her life. She faked the big O with her husband all the time, and has never actually done that. So she employs this sex worker, and gives him a list of things that she wants to do that she has never done. She's very straight laced. She was a teacher before she retired, um, and it is basically just these two people in a hotel room over the space of four different meetings, or is it five? Four. Um, the script is brilliant. It is funny. It is dramatic. Emma Thompson is astounding in this. I thought she was absolutely superb. I do like her films. I loved her in Peter's Friends. I believe she was in that with Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie. Um, but yeah, I thought she was absolutely brilliant in this. There have been a lot of comments over the last few weeks about how brave she is to do the nude scene that she did right at the end, and I have to applaud her for that. There are not many ladies of her age that would do that. So that, to me, that was an incredibly brave thing to do, and a real good statement to make, basically about body image and stuff like that. So I thought Good Luck to You, Leo Grande was absolutely superb, and I would highly, highly recommend that one. That's a definite 10 out of 10, and I will be watching that one again soon. As I say, Daryl McCormack was superb. Emma Thompson was just astonishing. So yeah, that's a definite 10 out of 10. Highly recommended. Nice soundtrack on it as well. What else have I watched? Iron Man 2, my latest foray into the MCU. Really, really enjoyed it. Really, really good as a sequel. No point in going over the story as such, because you guys that watch the MCU already know it. What makes it work is Robert Downey Jr., who plays the role absolutely superbly, I thought. I noticed Gary Shandling playing a judge. I haven't seen him since the 1970s. But yeah, special effects were superb. Story was great. Looking forward to getting on to the next one, which I believe is The Incredible Hulk. I actually ordered that online last night for about £3. So yeah, I thought it was about time I reconnected with the MCU, because I've not talked about the MCU for quite a few weeks. But yeah, Iron Man 2, highly recommended if you've not seen it. Just a good all-round Marvel adventure. Really, really good. Host, oh my god, streaming on Shudder at the moment. I wanted something sort of short to watch, because by the time I'd watched Leo Grande, it was sort of coming up to 11 o'clock. So I found this movie on Shudder called Host, 55 minutes, about a group of teenagers who hold an online seance. It's all done on Zoom. It's a bit like a found footage movie. My God, jump scares in all the right places. What a superb film. It's got a lot of acclaim, basically for the fact that the whole thing is done on a computer. So yeah, if you like your scares thick and fast with a slow build up, this is superb, and it's not too long. It's 56 minutes. But this is another movie I found really unnerving. Something about found footage that just gets under my skin. It's not actually found footage, but it's done in that style, done in real time. So yeah, I thought that was really good. It's called Host, and it's streaming on Shudder, so that's definitely worth a look. And finally, I had a look at this last night. This is the latest franchise that I'm going for, the Mad Max trilogy. I was going to watch the first one last night because I need to reconnect with the first one. I haven't seen it for many years, but I do remember it very well. So that is the next franchise I'm working on as far as Sequelophobia goes. So yeah, I'll be watching that sort of, let's see, probably later today. But yeah, if you've never seen Mad Max, I would definitely recommend it. I'd recommend it for nothing else other than the car chase at the beginning. 15 minutes of pure adrenaline. Superb. And I get the feeling this is one I'm going to watch, and I'm going to basically be saying something along the lines of, I'd forgotten how brutal it is, because I do remember it being fairly violent and fairly brutal, but I will let you know next week on that. But yeah, that is the next franchise that I'm moving on to next week as far as Sequelophobia goes. So right, I'll take a quick break. I'm just about to hit 30 minutes, and then I'll come back in a few seconds with a couple of other bits and pieces. So I'll talk to you in a minute. Ta-da. Hey up you lot, welcome back. Right, back to James. The BBFC collection of books that I've got. You expressed an interest in seeing the ones that I got, so I'll run through these quite fast. Now bear in mind, I've not actually read any of these cover to cover. I've dipped into them and read bits of them and find them absolutely fascinating, but I haven't read any of them cover to cover, so I can't tell you exactly what's in them. But this will give you an idea of what I've got so far. They're not all by the BBFC, but they are all sort of censorship based. First of all, this is the first book of a series called Controversies, and this is about A Clockwork Orange, and this again is about all the battles that it had with censorship upon its release and all that sort of thing. Clockwork Orange is one of my favourite movies ever, if not my favourite. It's definitely in the top three without a doubt. But the bits I've read are fascinating, and it is one really that I do need to watch, sort of read cover to cover, because it does look absolutely brilliant. So that's one. Another one in the same series, Controversies, Straw Dogs. I'm surprised this one isn't thicker. The amount of struggles this one had when it came out. The battles with the censor on this one are legendary. So again, looking forward to having a look at that one when I get a minute. Next one, Censor in the 1970s. Now obviously this concentrates on the 70s, which was a glorious year for the BBFC. They had movies like Clockwork Orange, Straw Dogs, The Devils, Death Wish, Salo. There were loads. In the 1970s, it was just a golden era for censorship. So again, looking forward. That was quite an expensive one. I think this cost about £30. But it's one I kept looking at it on Amazon and thought I've got to have that one to go with the collection. So yeah, that's another one. Next one, John Trevelyan, What the Censor Saw. Now this guy, I believe, was the chief censor from the late 50s up to excuse me, the early 70s. So this is one I'm definitely looking forward to watching. I believe Stephen Murphy took over from him around about 1971, and he inherited all of the controversial movies in that year: Straw Dogs, Clockwork Orange, The Devils. What a nightmare situation, what a nightmare thing to inherit. But yeah, John Trevelyan, interesting guy. Another one called, well, the whole title, Obscene, Indecent, Immoral and Offensive, 100 Years of Censored, Banned and Controversial Films. Again, quite a thick book, lots of detail in it, lots of photographs. Another one that I've dipped into over the years. Thoroughly enjoy looking through that one. Next one, The Hidden Cinema. Let's see, British Censorship in Action, 1913 to 1975. Another one I definitely need to have a read to. It goes into incredible detail from what I've seen on specific films, but that's called The Hidden Cinema. Let's see, Behind the Scenes at the BBFC. This is the one I enjoy reading the most. Just have a quick flip through this. Here we go. You know how rubbish I am at doing this, but there you go. Look, you can't see anything, but it gives you an idea of what's in there. But that's a good one. And finally, I believe you say you had this, but you lost it. Censored, Tom Dew Matthews. This, I think, was the first one that I bought. I remember getting this out of Burton Library. Probably would have been the 90s. And I kept renewing because I loved reading it, and I still do. This is a great book to dip into if you're just looking to find out how a certain film fared with the censors. This is the one to go for first. That's Tom Dew Matthews. So there you go. That is my collection of BBFC books, or BBFC based books. It's quite a library. There are a couple more out there that I do want to get hold of. But there aren't many. I think I've pretty much got them all, so quite pleased with that. Vinyl soundtrack corner for this week. It's the 40th anniversary of this movie, which is why I've gone for this one. The soundtrack to Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. It's scored by, I believe, James Horner, who also did the soundtrack, I think, for the motion picture. This is a glorious soundtrack. I love this one. Just show you the back. There you go. I've listened to this many times. They're a bit like the Star Wars soundtracks. They do kind of transport you to another place. But this is definitely one of my favourites, and the title theme is absolutely glorious. So yeah, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, that's the vinyl for this week. Bin it or keep it is this one. Mark. I bought this fairly recently, probably about 6 months ago. Wasn't sure whether I was going to like it. I'm a huge fan of T-Rex, Mark Bolan. But this is only 46 minutes long. Now, I thought when I bought it, it was going to be the complete series. He did a series in the 70s where he performed a lot of T-Rex's hits and also had guest stars like the Bay City Rollers, 70s bands, that kind of thing. And that's what I thought this was going to be, a complete set of 6 episodes, and it isn't. It's 45 minutes of highlights. I watched it last night. Now, I don't think there was any way this was ever going to go in the bin, but depending how bad it was, but it wasn't actually bad. The quality of them, considering the age of the recordings, is actually quite good. So this is a definite keeper. I mean, if you're a fan of Mark Bolan and you want to see some real vintage performances from the 1970s, this is probably a good one to get, because I think you can pick it up for a couple of pounds nowadays. But yeah, that's going to be a keeper, that one. Now then, very quickly before I disappear, quote encounters for this week. I don't need to give you a clue on this, because as soon as you hear the name that I mentioned, you'll know which franchise it comes from, but which one. And it goes something like this. Where can I find Ernst Stavro Blofeld? Speak up, darling, I can't hear you. Which one does it come from? I'd have got that straight away. If somebody had thrown that one at me, I'd have got that one absolutely straight away. Right, that is it for this week. I think I've gone for about close to 40 minutes, which is what last week's was. Somebody said, was it you, Jason, said, go longer, go longer. I don't think I could go any longer than this. I really don't. In fact, if anything, I'm thinking of sort of not trimming it down, but condensing it a little. But you guys seem to like it the way it is, so we'll see how we go. Thanks ever so much for joining me, all of you. And as I said before, thanks for all the encouragement with the channel, with the Facebook group and with Instagram and all that sort of thing. Without you guys, none of it would exist, I promise you. So have a great week, folks, and I will be back again next week with pretty much more of the same. Thanks ever so much for joining me. If you've enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and I will talk to you all again next weekend. Take care. Ta-da.